Good morning, Ratman. I'm your host, Jay, and I have Parker luck. And joining me is Corgi, who has decent luck. That is why I asked you what type of luck you had. Like a week ago.
All that edging. And by that, I mean, for 5 minutes, I was like, what's he talking about? And then as soon as 5 minutes were up, I just forgot. I think
it was 2 weeks ago, because I asked you before I even started writing the Cursed Founding episode, because it was supposed to be for the... Yeah. Anyway, today's episode is brought to you by rats. And usually you say something, but you didn't say anything, and then it threw me off. It completely threw me off.
Sorry.
It was just dead silence, and I'm like,
Sorry, I had a burp in my throat.
Anyway.
Brought to you by Rat.
Yep.
Hey, did you know a Rat King is really fucked up? Of course you did. Everyone knows that.
Did you know that Rat Kings probably aren't real?
You're a Rat King.
They've never found, if I recall correctly, they've never found any evidence of a Rat King occurring naturally. Every single Rat King they've ever found was man-made.
Well, I mean, that does make sense, because if rats were gonna easily get their tails stuck together, then evolution is stupid for them. Evolution is stupid in general. Yeah. Just look at horses. But you get what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, the warthogs that die because their tusks grow back into their own brain. I saw a post on Reddit that I sent you, Corgi. That was a model of a guy holding a jar of vials, and it was just like a flash of nostalgia. The post was like, who is this? Identify this model. And I saw it, I'm like, oh shit, it's the McCreek guy. Most of my early games of Warhammer and every game I played with my childhood friends had that guy. I still have that model. I gave away an unbuilt Chimera model and 2 metal models, one being a chaplain and one a commissar. Regret those. Technically, I gave away a knob. Like, I didn't. I just don't think I'll ever see that knob again, because I'm not 100% sure the person I gave it to paint it hasn't just given it away, and I kind of don't want to pay them. So I haven't bothered following up. But I still own every other model that I've ever bought. Some not in great condition, but look at them. Look at how bad I was at painting it when I was 9. Anyway, today's episode is the Lamenters, one of the best appliances in the office.
The Lamenters.
No, wait. I opened the wrong script. That's from my Office Supplies podcast. Go check that out. It's good morning, office men.
I am not joining you as a co-host to that.
Lamenters. Today's episode is about the Lamenters. I was going to do some synergy between my podcasts.
You only have the one podcast. Stop trying to make more.
For now.
Oh, jeez. I thought I was overworked doing one thing a week.
A week?
Yeah, I just hibernate until you need me.
Fair. Yeah, I hibernate till I need you, and then you're not there.
Yeah, until you need me, and then I push it off for a few days, and then I show up with a fried brain, because Jesus Christ. Hey, did you guys know that in olden times, seagulls were thought to be the souls of drowned sailors?
Yes, that's why you don't fuck with the seagulls.
What do you fuck with? Albatross?
No birds. Anyway.
Yeah, especially not pigeons. Poor pigeons. Free my man Pigeon.
Let's get into the episode. Before we start, I looked around for sources for a lot of this, because it's really scattered. Stumbled across the Imperial Armors Volume 9. Really solid source. Gives a lot of information about the Lamenters. That's where a lot of this came from. Not exclusively, but a lot of it came from there. This brings us to the star of the show, the Lamenters. So first off, what are the...
hang on. Lamenters. Are they anything like Dementors?
No. They lament.
But they don't dement?
No, they lament.
What if they got into construction?
Then they would cement. But they don't.
Thank you.
They lament.
You'll never see any cementers.
I'll fucking dement you. Anyway.
You can't kill me.
First off, what are the Lamenters' curse?
Oh, I know. It's the same curse that I suffer from. Head empty.
I thought you were going to say deafness, but yeah, sure.
Dude, that's a fucking low joke. I doubt anyone's going to want to hear it.
You're not funny. Anyway, the Lamenters' curse. They don't have one, kind of. That's.
So they're not,
yeah.
like...
So, if anything, they were actually improved, as they are a Blood Angel successor chapter. And seemingly...
What's so successful about them? Do they change their blood type?
No, successor chapter means, like, they're descended from the Blood Angels. They use the Blood Angel gene seed.
I always forget about gene seeds.
Yeah, we talked about the successor chapters in the previous episode.
Yeah, I know, but anytime I hear gene seed, I just imagine,
cummy DNA.
Yeah. Just like a spaff stain on a pair of fucking denims.
Spaff. Cringe word.
Spaff.
Anyway, so they, despite being a Blood Angel successor chapter, seemingly aren't affected by the flaw at all, for the most part. The flaw being two things. One, the red thirst, that being the need to drink blood.
Flaw.
Yeah,
F-L-A-W. I thought you were talking about the fucking floor, and I'm like,
no,
what?
yeah, they're anti-grav guys.
So it's the
float
floor
around.
floor.
They float around like fucking Stellan Skarsgård, Baron Harkonnen.
I don't get it.
Dune.
I don't get it.
You clearly didn't grow up with two parents. Like, all of this shit where I can just recite Warhammer knowledge that I know. And
fucking excuse you. Clearly you didn't
I was going to finish that statement as two parents who like religiously read Dune, but then I just said you didn't grow up with two parents.
Welcome to our last podcast, guys. I'm gonna go hug my mother and kick my dad in the balls if I ever find him.
So, also you did grow up with two parents, but...
Also what?
Didn't grow up with two parents, but you also didn't grow up with two parents who had religiously read Dune. Like, everything that I could do reciting, like, Warhammer lore, my dad can do with Dune. So...
Yeah, well, for me, it was Mum reading fucking Stephen King and Vampire Diaries. So I got the bookworm from her. Not so much that... Actually, hang on, I do have Dune on my shelf. I just haven't read it.
My dad's read, like, all of the Dune books, apart from the, his son, Brian Herbert. He's read them, like, multiple times.
I thought you were about to say that's what that guy's name turns out to be, and I was like...
Frank Herbert, and then he died, and then his son took over writing Dune, and they're apparently not as good. But... Well... So... Still laughing about the you didn't grow up with two parents.
Yeah, fuck you.
Do you want me to keep that in the episode or cut it?
Keep it, obviously.
Okay. Sometimes we flub things and it's not great.
Yeah, now I'm writing it down.
Okay. So, the flaw being two things. The red thirst, that being the need to drink blood. And B, the black rage. The black rage being an incurable, affliction that affects all blood angels and their successors, where they believe they are sanguineous in battle with Horus and enter a berserker rage. It happens usually either through age or times of intense stress and, you know, shit's going on, like, chaotic in the battlefield, and then all of a sudden they're on, don't remember the name of the ship, and fighting Horus. They think they're sanguineous.
Ah, the sanguineous delusion.
Yeah. So, I say asterisk because Mephiston succumbed to...
No, shut up. What?
Yeah, Mephiston. He wears Dracula's armor from... I didn't actually get a picture of Mephiston, I'll find it. He wears Dracula's armor from Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula movie.
Mephiston.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be surprised at this point by some of these fucking names, but I still am. Every time I think the bar's still, it moves on.
There you
go. I shouldn't laugh, but for some reason he just looks like someone took a vampire model head and stuck it on a Titan from Attack on Titan, and then just made armor for that.
I mean, that armor's pretty much directly lifted from...
Well, I don't think yes.
It's pretty solid armor. It popped up again recently in something. There was something... Yeah, it's, you know, it's not quite it, but it's not far off. It's some fucking weird armor. But there was...
Oh, honey, no. No. He looks like a Twizzler man.
It's supposed to be muscles, but yes.
Twizzlers!
Alright, so
Dracula,
So Mephiston,
King of Wallachia and Twizzlers. Sorry, go on.
Mephiston succumbed to the Black Rage and then went, yeah, nah, and came out of it. Only person to do that. Though, there is another guy, a little guy, by the name of Sanguinius. And after a battle, Sanguinius was chilling with the Blood Angels, and they went, hey, Lamenters, you seem a little off, you okay? And he hit them with I'm Sanguinius, who the fuck is Lamenters? But was generally in control, despite being clearly undergoing the Black Rage. So he is now in charge of the other guys who have fallen to the Black Rage. So while it is incurable, it has been cured before, and there is a guy who's just kind of like, nah, I'll deal with it.
Yeah, don't worry, guys. Just let them hang out with me, and you're fixed.
That's Lamenters' model.
No, that's Sanguinius.
Yeah, that's Sanguinius' model. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, come on, fucking keep up with the lore of your own goddamn show. No, but seriously, he looks like Wolverine.
Yeah,
Just because he looks
he does have the Wolverine pose. Yeah, so people who have succumbed to the Black Rage, they either give the Emperor's Mercy, which is, shoot him, or they send them into, I want to say Death Watch, but Death Watch is different. I think it's Death Company.
No, it's Lethal Company. Next episode.
Yes, so it is the Death Company, not to be confused with Death Watch, different thing. And that is exclusively filled with a whole heap of Sanguiniuses who are currently in the process of fighting Horus wherever they are, and they just get sent out in the battle. Lamenters is also in between missions, kept in stasis, just in case he kind of loses it. And they're like, he's really useful to have, because he's not, while he is clearly undergoing the Black Rage, he is still in control of his actions. So we kind of want him to have that for as long as possible so he can lead these guys.
I'm Sanguinius. I'm Sanguinius. I'm Sanguinius. Just the fucking I'm Sparta. I'm Spartacus.
There's a psychological study. They made a movie out of it where a guy went to a mental institution, like a psychologist, and interviewed or had a group meeting, like weekly group meeting, with 3 people who all claimed to be Jesus. And he thought maybe because everyone was having the delusion that they're Jesus, they would be able to break out of it, being like, oh, they think they're Jesus. He thinks they're Jesus. Maybe I just think I'm Jesus and I'm not actually Jesus. But all of them were like, no, they're crazy. I'm Jesus.
They're crazy.
I feel like that's the whole thing. It's just a whole heap of Sanguiniuses all being like, you're crazy. I'm clearly Sanguinius.
Look at me. I have everything that Sanguinius does. I'm alive? It's like, that's how we know that you're not the real one.
Yeah.
Real one's fucking dead. Sorry.
Too soon.
Sorry. I'm not.
Did you know that succumb isn't the correct past tense of succumb? It's succumbed. Succumb is a word in North America. It just isn't correct though. Kind of weird. Succumb sounds better. Not succumbed.
You're a succumber.
Yeah. So the Lamenters are immune to this. Despite being a successor chapter to the vampire guys, they avoid all the vampire shit. Though some did succumb to the red thirst. So, not 100%. They do occasionally just have to drink blood.
Oh, there's always
I was reading it. It was like, it's a psychological need to drink blood. They don't actually need to drink blood. But then if they don't drink blood for long enough, they get physically older and weaker. It's like, so they do need to drink blood. That's not psychological. That's physically.
Well, obviously it's psychological because your brain thinks you need to super age, so your brain's like, come on, cells, chop, chop, die.
But anyway, they allegedly have a propensity for depression.
What?
They have a...
I can't even make a joke out of that. Yeah. That was the joke I was going to make.
Yeah. But as we will get into, I don't really think they need a genetic propensity for depression to have depression. They kind of just keep getting kicked while they're down. They also, as said in the prior episode, curse with bad luck, much like every other chapter in the Curse Founding is cursed with bad luck. It's not a defect of their gene seed, as more so... Well, it might be a defect of their gene seed because, Curse Founding. But more so, it's a Curse Founding thing, rather than a specific Lamenters thing. They are known for being the guys with bad luck, but they're not the only guys with bad luck. Everyone in the Cursed Founding has bad luck.
It's like it's a genetic trait, no, a family trait. Some people inherit, money, and some people inherit fucking debts. These guys inherit bad luck.
Yeah, but here is a quote about their immunity to the flaw and their depression. The counter to this success, however, was the almost immediately certain idiosyncrasies of mind and temperament were noted within the Lamenters, factors that only grew more pronounced as the years passed. A dark melancholia seemed to take hold of the chapter's soul. It was said of them by their fellow Blood Angel successors that they bore the grief of the loss of Sanguinius more keenly than any other. So, yeah, they just kind of feel particularly bad about the Sanguinius being dead.
I've never grieved someone so hard I've become them.
Yeah. Well,
probably
to be fair, Sanguinius died in a particularly brutal way.
Yeah, getting fucking pancaked.
Yeah, and his death caused a psychic ripple across time that permanently etched itself in his gene seed. like they're not built from his gene seed after he died. They're built from his gene seed before he died. And his death was able to affect that gene seed permanently.
But who came first? The bad gene seed or the grief? Wait.
What?
Nope. Fuck that up. Never mind.
Anyway, on to the events. Also, I just want to give a quick shout out to Brutalite, your favorite commenter, Corgi. They're the one with the Krieg from Borderlands as their profile picture.
Hell yeah.
Corgi is a massive Borderlands fan. Loved the movie. It's her favorite movie.
Go fuck right off. Don't spread this misinformation, man.
It's not information.
You can slander me all you want.
It's correct. No. It's correct information. 100% true.
You can slander me all you want, but don't go around saying that shit.
I distinctly remember me telling you that this movie is going to be bad, and you going, no, I have faith. You loved it. Anyway, they recommended an outline to the order of things, which I did use as a guide. So, thank you. So
an outline?
Yeah. They mentioned a thing, and then I was like, I'm actually going to have to cover that thing in this episode. I just don't know how much of it to cover because it's also worth its own episode. And then they're like, well, you can do this and then this and then this. And I'm like, yeah, okay, that's a better way to do it. So I followed their outline. So
interesting.
The Lamenters just kind of had it hard because they were good. They were really good. Their battle record was said to be enviable. Most of the battles they won, quote, became bitter ashes in their hands. They were winning Pyrrhic victories, at best, and on top of that, they were ostracized by other chapters, seen as the weirdo cursed guys, despite the fact, unlike other cursed chapters, they had no flaws. And even compared to their successors, they had even compared to who they were... Successors, right?
Successors?
I'm just going to say ancestors. Even compared to their ancestor chapter, don't know what the correct term is there, they had even less flaws. Because Predecessor? No. Because they're descendant.
Coming before.
Yeah, but predecessor implies that the previous one doesn't exist. Whereas ancestors could still exist.
English sucks.
Yeah. Anyway, they had even less flaws because they didn't have to deal with the flaw. This is what I mean by they don't need a tendency to develop depression to get depression. Their life just kind of sucks. Good chance your friends will die and everyone hates you and it will get worse. But the Lamenters started to see the tides of the Imperium beginning to shift in M37, not too long after they were first founded, considering they were from late M36. And things just started to look dicey, and more members of the Cursed Founding and just generally dissident forces were being completely exterminated.
Uh-oh.
So they did the reasonable thing and just left.
Out of town?
Yep, yeah. They just left.
If something is wiping out my entire bloodline, I'm not going to stick around to find out what it is.
Why attract attention to yourself when you know people hate you? On top of that, they don't have a homeworld. Their chapter is their fleet. So Asgard is a people, not a place. So they fucked off Galactic West. That's left side, Corgi. Just, yeah. If north is forward, west is left.
Haha. And stern is...
Stern is the back, I'm pretty sure, of a boat.
I thought that was the bow.
No, the bow was the front.
Oh, no.
Also,
Put me on a boat.
west is not the left of a boat.
Yes.
Okay.
West from the steering wheel. Duh.
Talking of boats is good foreshadowing. So,
Oh, great.
they just started crusading to protect the Imperium in the Galactic West. And they fought campaigns, crusades, against the Eldar and Orcs and also another enemy. But before I reveal them, it's time for our fan favorite segment, Corgi.
Oh, no.
Whose boat is that boat? Now, you all know the rules because we do it every week. And that's what our fans tune in for. Sound off in the comments to let us know just how much you love Whose Boat Is That Boat? And that you have loved it ever since it debuted in our very first episode on this channel all those months back. But for those who are joining us for the first time, I'll explain the rules. The rules are pretty simple. I'll send Corgi a picture of a boat or spaceship, and she has to tell us, whose boat is that boat? There you go, Corgi. Whose boat is that boat?
Why does it just look like a dude chilling? Do you see that? Just like,
No. Whose boat is that boat?
Sutex.
That's Doctor Who.
Actually, that's Egyptian mythology.
And Doctor Who.
There's only two there's only two categories. Egyptian, Doctor Who. Anyway, Gene Stealers?
Gene Stealers, motherfucker. The Gene Stealers steal their spaceships.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm serious. All I can see is just a dude chilling out, you know. Like, you see that front part that looks like a foot,
So-
and then the part above that one looks like a knee. and then
I'm
behind
sorry.
is-
I'm sorry, Corgi. But that is incorrect. And not only is it incorrect, your first answer was from Doctor Who, a thing that isn't Warhammer, despite the fact, let's, at a brief aside, Games Workshop made Doctor Who miniatures once. It was like a limited run thing, they were testing the waters. And then secondly, you picked a faction that doesn't have spaceships. They use the spaceships of the faction that they infest. That was so wrong. If we could dock points on whose boat is that boat, I would dock points.
Yeah, well, you know what I was originally going to answer but genuinely, this is what I was going to say when you first said we were doing this segment. I was going to say Malevolence, because that's General Grievous's.
Yeah, I thought that was General Grievous's ship. Okay. Sorry, Corgi. But that is, in fact, a Fral ship. Or Fral. Now, you might be wondering, what the fuck is a Fral? Well,
I'm thinking, what the fuck, this was rigged from the start?
I didn't know either. They're a
Don't
psychic
think-
race of maybe nomadic aliens, sort of nomadic aliens, with an interesting, weird technology that gives me a strange sense of deja vu as I read about them, and a tendency for piracy. We don't know what they look like. Pretty standard for aliens in Warhammer universe. But for some reason, we know what their battle cruiser looks like. Anyway, that does it for this week's episode of Whose Boat Is That Boat? Remember to let us know just how much you love this segment that we have done every single week since the show started. And
Please don't tell.
send an email to the ABC, the Australian one, that you want to see a Whose Boat Is That Boat TV series. I keep sending them letters and pitch documents, and they keep not responding. Maybe it's because I can't write good, so I use letters and words that I cut out from magazines, and the pitch documents are usually just pictures of boats.
Is that why my Playboy magazines are missing?
Yes. That one time I went to your house, just stole them all. Anyway, back to the show. They spent the next 1,500 years fighting these crusades, and often coming to the aid of small, isolated worlds. And this is an important fact about the Lamenters, and might be part of why things go so wrong for them. It's probably mostly part of why things go so wrong for them. And the reason I decided to do a video on them at all. They, unlike most Space Marine chapters, though others do exist, prioritize above all else the lives of civilians.
Oh, that's
La-
good.
Lamenters will gladly sacrifice their lives to protect the lives of the innocent, something most Space Marines won't do. Off the top of my head, the Salamanders are the only other ones to do it. There are almost certainly others, but they're the only
Could
ones that
another
come to mind.
Sorry, could another reason for them, laying down their lives for civilians have anything to do with their depression? Like they're just waiting for an excuse. Yes, an excuse to die valiantly in battle. I don't have to keep living anymore.
I don't think so. I think part of the reason I think it's the other way around. When they fuck up saving people, they just get really miserable about it, and a lot of them die for it. So you might lose all of your friends in a battle.
Well, actual good guys.
Yeah.
In this fucking universe, I don't think so.
Yeah. I mean, it's the thing. They're good guys until it's an alien, and then they're like, fuck them. We'll protect civilians. Oh, aliens, fuck them. We'll just burn these alien civilians to death. They're good guys until they very much aren't. No one is good. Everyone is a different degree of monster. They're the nicest form of monster.
Even Sanguinius?
Yes. They're all bad.
No, but he's Sanguinius.
Yeah, Sanguinius is great until he's just like, nah,
Fuck him.
alien, fuck him. Also, Sanguinius is not Vulcan, who's the Primarch of the Salamanders. He was much more like nicer and like friendly and all that. Sanguinius is still a absolute fucking like monster. He like in the sense of like the way he fights. He fights with a savagery to him. He's not, hey, we're all nice and loving and friendly. He is a fucking hitman. He is just nice, and he liked art and shit, and the Blood Angels participate in art and shit. Partially from memory, it's a way of, when they die, when they inevitably die, or more so when they succumb to the Black Rage, it's a way of saying, no, this is who I was. Don't remember me as the mindless berserker that I died as. This is who I was, and this is what I did.
And what he did was be a cutie patootie.
Yeah, it's sort of like the equivalent of someone with dementia who has gotten it like really early onset, and they know it's coming. Writing, memoirs and creating art for what they know is the inevitable mental decline, and the fact that they are going to become something different, and they're just going to become, monstrous towards the end. So despite a record and 1,500 years of just crushing it, while at the same time taking some heavy hits and bad luck, rumors began to spread among the chapters that these guys are just fucked. So then, the High Lords of Terror, the guys who used to rule the Imperium, they're still around but nowhere near the amount of power they used to have. They ordered the Lamenters back to assist in the defense of the Ninth Black Crusade.
The Ninth Black Crusade?
Yeah. So the Black Crusade being when Chaos gets their shit together and attack the Imperium. There has been a bunch, but if it's numbered, it was led by Abaddon, who is Horus's successor.
Isn't Abaddon a king of hell?
Yes. Which is also, I believe, pronounced Abaddon, but yeah.
Abaddon, I'll hope you went.
But Abaddon is its pronunciation within Warhammer.
Which Warhammer?
Warhammer.
The Warhammer one or the other Warhammer?
This Warhammer. He's a Space Marine. He is the leader of the Black Legion, which was Horus's Legion, except it wasn't called the Black Legion when Horus was. It was the Lunar Wolves, and then Abaddon.
It was the Little Wolves.
Lunar.
Wolves. Yeah, we're the Little Wolves. Where?
And then I believe Abaddon changed its name to the Black Legion when he took over.
Well, Black Legion does inspire a lot more fear than the Lunar Wolves. One sounds like a werewolf, the other sounds like actual demons.
Yeah. Well, Horus's full name is Horus Lupercal, so wolf-themed.
Oh, very, very.
So, the Lamenters, during the Ninth Black Crusade, were stationed on the planet of Corellia to assist in the defense alongside the Mortifact Ultramarine Successor Legion. Now, most Ultramarine Successor chapters are pretty hinged, considering they come from a stable gene seed. The Mortifactors, on the other hand, very unhinged. I'm going to explain them a little bit So you understand just what a bunch of fucking Erebus they are for what they are about to do. They come from a planet called Posel. It was a feral world, shrouded in darkness by wild tribes. I say was, not because it got its shit together, but because it got destroyed by a Hive Fleet Leviathan. Good. Now, the strongest of their tribes got recruited into the Adeptus Astartes and still practice their traditions, such as the not weird battle meditations and the fucking unhinged drinking the blood and eating the flesh of their enemies. And yes, Space Marines are genetically designed to do that, and it actually has advantages, but they were doing that before they were Space Marines. They also take skull trophies, and they have to wear the skull of the first kill over their helmet. So,
Well, as I like to say, God forbid men have hobbies.
So these fucking Erebus saw they were stationed with the Lamenters and went, fuck them, and just left. They were ordered specifically by the High Lords of Terror to defend a planet, and they ignored the order because they just heard rumors that the Lamenters were cursed.
It's like, oh,
So
I don't want to work with them.
yeah.
Fuck
So-
it, I'm going home. Tell Mom.
Yeah, so the Lamenters were faced with a choice here. They were undermanned and outgunned against a splinter of a Black Crusade. They could abandon the planet to its fate, or they could stay and protect the planet the best they could till their last breath. So that's what they chose to do.
They chose to leave.
No, they chose to stay.
It'd be hilarious if they're like, yeah, no, we'll happily die in battle, just not with these dickheads.
So
They look like fucking 2010's kids' toys.
So they endured for 6 weeks until a force of Ultramarines and White Scars, 2 of the original Space Marine chapters, broke through the Chaos fleet and arrived to assist them, discovering that barely 200 Lamenters remained. Keep in mind, a full force is 1,000. They lost 800 units.
The Lamenters?
Yes.
Jeez, they really are fucked.
And with the battle finally being ended, the siege finally being ended, the Lamenters could return to safety and begin the process of replenishing their ranks. And not too long after they left, they were consumed by a warp storm and declared lost in the war. So,
Alright, men, excellent victory. Proud of you all. We lost some. Well, I'm gonna be honest, we lost many. But at least we're alive. Captain.
this is the only part of their history where it's just like, they had bad luck. That was like, this isn't your fault. Nothing you did here was your fault. You got fucked.
They just wanted to live, man.
Yeah, there was no version of this where it came out well. So, over 100 years later, they reappeared on the edge of the Segmentum Solar, that's the important part of the galaxy with terror and shit, having slowly, ever so slowly, clawed themselves from the warp. And
Good on them.
that's all we hear about them for 3,000 years.
Oh.
So, in around mid-M41, the Lamenters are ordered by the High Lords to join the Maelstrom waters of the Maelstrom Zone, a place in the galactic east that is just permanently struggling through warp storms, and no one wants to leave it because it's resource rich.
A bunch of you fuckers to suffer for us. You already won once. What's getting struck by lightning a second time?
So, during this time, for once in their life, they made friends.
Yay!
They befriended the other chapters in the Maelstrom waters, and in particular, a chapter by the name of the Astral Claws, led by Lufthuron.
Lufthuron?
Yep, Luftgt. LFGT. Luft.
I'm just gonna say German.
Yep. They befriended a German. They fought alongside each other in many great battles, and Huron himself, who was in command of the Maelstrom Zone, offered the Lamenters honor and respect they had long been denied, alongside resources and supplies to build and maintain the chapter's strength.
But at what cost? I don't trust him.
Wow, you... Okay.
Well, I'm sorry, but they keep getting fucked over. Are you seriously expecting me to believe that they're going to have one swift turn of luck? No, he's using them. He's probably Slanesh in disguise being like, I can't wait to eat these fuckers.
So, now, in 701 M41, so about 200 years later, the Lamenters fought in the liberation of Slaughterhouse 3.
Fuck that. Hey, do you want to go work on this army mission with me? Yeah, where are we going? Slaughterhouse 3. No. That's no. Mm-mm.
The Ultramarines put out a call for allies in cleansing what they could of the Orc empires in the Caradon region. And the Lamenters answered the call, eager to pay their debt owed to the Ultramarines for saving them at the Siege of Corellia.
Oh, honey bunches, no, you're gonna get fucked over.
So the Lamenters sent a force of 300 alongside a battle barge and escort fleet, and they just kind of crushed it until the liberation of Slaughterhouse 3. Now, Slaughterhouse 3 was an Orc slave mining world, and part of the reason the Orc War was growing in strength in that region.
Oh, I forgot they called a war.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, what are you sad about now?
Yeah. It was placed so deep in the region, it was considered a one-way mission outside of sending a full force attack. It's also called Slaughterhouse 3, if I recall correctly, because it's a slave mining colony, and a lot of humans die there. That's...
I thought slave mining for a second there. My brain, for some reason, was just like, oh, so you mine ore, and then sometimes when you crack open a geode, there's just an infant with a hard hat ready to go to work. So like a Cabbage Patch Kid.
The Imperium didn't create a planet and then name it Slaughterhouse 3. The Orcs had a planet, and the Imperium then named the planet Slaughterhouse 3 because of the Orcs on the planet. Or because of what the Orcs were doing on the planet.
What happened to the first one?
The first two are also probably slave mines.
I can't believe it.
But the Lamenters couldn't let such a place slide, and requested a mission to rescue the slaves.
And the Imperium was like, lol, no.
So they also acknowledged there was a tactical region. It was a very tactically important place. So it wasn't just to save the slaves, but they wanted to save the slaves.
Slave the slaves.
They were reluctantly granted the mission. The Marnius Calgor did not want to give him the mission, but he was kind of like, it's important. This is an important mission, so fuck it, I guess. Like, they had to convince Calgar to give them the mission.
And Calgar's going to quickly learn why he's going to regret that. Sorry, I don't know why I'm pessimistic today.
Well, Lamenters.
They lament for a reason.
He gave them the mission on the condition they received no further support due to just how much manpower it would require.
So they got excommunicated because they wanted to save a few slaves.
Yeah, so it was a one-way mission. It was, I will give this to you, but no matter how fucking tits up, you're doing it on your own. If you need help, you're dying. Sorry. we cannot afford to take our resources from every other front just to help you. And Lamenters agreed to it. So they then slipped through the Orc lines and dropped out of warp next to the Orc orbital defenses and ripped them apart because they were not expecting a fight to just appear right in front of them. This is like the equivalent of just hanging out at a checkpoint in a major city at the heart of your country with your piddly little machine gun when the war front is on the border and then a battalion of M1A1 Abrams land in front of you.
I don't get it.
Did you know that the ADF uses Abrams and not the Challenger 2? I didn't. I don't know why I thought we would source our tanks from Britain. I just did. Anyway, here's a picture of me in a Bushmaster.
Get out of the tank.
No. So the Lamenters utterly shattered their space and ground defense, leaving unorganized Orc resistance. And seeing all this, the human slaves, who vastly outnumbered the Orcs, joined the Lamenters in the attack, and within a few hours, the whole planet had been liberated in a triumphant victory. A victory that now posed a problem.
Oh god, now the Orcs are going to be like, dude, what the fuck?
The Lamenters now had a planet of 3 million humans in the middle of Orc territory, looking to get the fuck off planet.
Yeah, I wonder how that's gonna go.
The Lamenters were the Emperor's answer to their prayers. Now, most chapters would simply leave the prisoners to whatever the fates decide. They sabotaged the mines, the mission was done, and others would praise the prisoners for their martyrdom, dying bravely for the cause. But the Lamenters are a cut above the rest. They weren't happy with either outcome.
And that's when they decided, fuck it, we're gonna make our own Imperium with blackjack and ethical hookers.
That comes later.
Oh god. Apollo's gift of prophecy strikes again.
So, Orc reinforcements began to enter the star system, and they were coming in swarms. The Lamenters had no chance of evacuating the entire population. The few warp-capable transports they had captured couldn't be repaired in time, and the Lamenters' own ships couldn't handle the load. So the Lamenters made a choice. They would stand and fight as long as they could, while the slave mechanics and their tech marines worked to repair the damaged ships. So,
why are they good guys?
So at this point, the less than 200 Lamenters who were surviving and their single battle barge stood alone against the hordes of Orc ships. Wave after wave were beaten back on sky and ground with such violence and savagery that even the Orcs recoiled at it. But slowly, for the first time, they began to succumb to the Black Rage.
Oh no. Not that kind of blackjack.
But ultimately, the prisoners made a call. They gave a prayer of thanks to the Lamenters' ships and asked for a merciful death. So, while the Orcs were preparing for another attack, the Lamenters set off the charges to collapse the mines and then turned their weapons to the landing ports and incinerated the surviving slaves. And the less than 100 remaining Lamenters fled with the few ships they were able to repair, saving only a few 100,000 slaves.
God, why is this episode a bummer?
Yep. So, the mission was a success. The Lamenters had executed a perfect surprise attack. They destroyed the mines and docks and set the Orcs back years, and caused infighting between the Orcs, who were now fighting for resources. And because of their insane success, Marneus Calgar himself, leader of the Ultramarines, awarded the Lamenters with an Iron Halo, which is basically getting a Victoria Cross, but the Victoria Cross also made you bulletproof.
Why don't they just give that out to everyone then?
They're very rare.
Oh, makes sense.
There's a reason it is the Victoria Cross equivalent. It's so rare that you have to achieve something truly great to be awarded one. But to the Lamenters, this wasn't a victory. This was a failure. They failed to save everyone. So they made an almost unprecedented choice and refused the Iron Halo.
Oh, shit.
This didn't do them any favors because some chapters saw this as a deliberate insult. These guys think they're so fucking big dick that they can turn down an Iron Halo. But the Lamenters turned it down because they felt shit about it. They didn't think they deserved it. And then they returned home to the Maelstrom Zone and got back to work. Around 200 years later, at around 900 M41, the Lamenters had returned to full strength. They had good equipment and weapons thanks to the Astral Claws supplying them.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to skim over what happens next, as it will be its own video, likely multiple videos. But for the past 200 years, this region has been controlled by Huron, leader of the Astral Claws. And for the past 150 years, since 748 M41, he has barely been paying his imperial tithe. Like, any of it. This was, in part, a response to the High Lords refusing his request to crusade the Maelstrom to make it better. And seemingly, he just wanted to stockpile resources to do it himself.
Yeah, that tracks.
Now, in 901, things actually start to heat up about this. No one's really bothered by what he's been doing for 150 years. And now Now people are starting to go, all right, what the fuck's going on here? So then, in 904, the Badab War breaks out in earnest with the Astral Claws, Executioners, Mantis Warriors, and the Lamenters in open rebellion against the Imperium.
Oh, shit.
But the official reason behind leaving was that they, as Space Marines, should not have to answer to the bureaucracy of the Imperium.
And were they right about that?
Depends on how you view it.
Governing bodies, also corrupt governments.
Yeah, it's a very corrupt government, but they are also the Emperor's angels. So why are they answering to some fuckwit bureaucrat on Holy Terror who is 700 years old, who has never left his palace, doesn't know what it's like out here, and they go, we need fucking supplies for this. And they go, nah, I think it's a little too expensive, isn't it? And
just when I thought they couldn't parallel the real world anymore. Yeah.
So their resources were their resources, and while they would secede, they would still protect the Maelstrom Zone and protect the Imperium from any threats. It was about not answering to the High Lords of Terror rather than heresy, being against the Emperor, like the Horus Heresy.
Mm-hmm.
There is 3 types of Space Marines, right? So there's the Loyalist Space Marines, there's the Renegade Space Marines, and then there is the Traitor Space Marines. The Traitor Space Marines are Chaos, the Chaos Space Marines. These guys are now currently Renegade Space Marines. They are operating outside the parameters of the Imperium, but they are still loyal to the Emperor and the goals of the Imperium. They are just doing their own thing.
You're getting dangerously close to heresy, my friend.
But the Lamenters joined this fight because of their friend. They didn't really want this fight, but of course they would come to the defense of the only chapter who ever gave a shit about them.
Yeah.
Who cared to treat them with respect, but they didn't want to fight. But Huron knew the situation, and he only deployed the Lamenters against purely military targets, because he knew if he sent them against any degree of civilians, he would lose their support, and they would pull out. Now, I've heard it said that the Lamenters avoided killing other Space Marines during the Badab War. That is not true. It might have been said in some source, but the source I was reading was no, they were fucking killing people. They were,
because they're they signed up for this shit. Yeah. The civvies didn't.
Yeah. They did, however, get into a couple of fights with the Marines Errant, who they crusaded with back when they helped the Ultramarines. And neither side really fought each other, which pissed off each of their allies, because they were getting into fights with guys and shooting at each other, and they're like, oh no, I missed. I shot fucking 10 meters the wrong way. Oh, whoops.
Oopie doops.
These guys were getting into fights, but they weren't drawing blood.
It was an accident.
Yeah.
Was it though?
The Lamenters were so effective during this, a plan was implemented to ambush them while they were alone and take them out. So, Imperial spies discovered the Lamenter fleet resupplying on a planet, and the Imperium deployed the Minotaurs after them.
Are they actual Minotaurs?
No. Damn. The Minotaurs are a Space Marine killing legion.
Uh-oh.
They are the guys you send to kill other Space Marines. They are not the type of guys you want to fight. They are ruthless in their violence. But also, on a sad note, they are also a cursed founding chapter. They were sent to slaughter their brothers, and they did their job well.
Aww.
After a 17-hour battle, despite sustaining heavy casualties, which is what I mean, the Lamenters were fighting back. They were killing Minotaurs. The Minotaurs massacred the Lamenters, and the remaining 311 surrendered instead of facing total annihilation. They were then
Minotaurs?
Of the Lamenters.
Oh.
They were transferred to a prison hulk where they remained for the rest of the war. So, just so you're aware, the war ends with the complete destruction of the Astral Claws.
Oh, so they just get fucked over even more?
So some of them survive, but the faction is dissolved. Some of them turn to Chaos. Huron turns to Chaos. So
kind of shit in fucking Warhammer.
Yep. They lose their only friend. They lose the only guy who ever fought for them. Now, At the end of the war, the Imperium has to deal with all these traitor legions that they had captured. But in investigating, they discovered that they did not side with the traitor legion because they wanted to rebel against the Imperium, but instead they believed that the attack on the Astral Claws was an attack on the sovereignty of the Adeptus Astartes.
And they were technically kind of right.
Yeah. So the Lamenters were granted the Emperor's forgiveness, not to be confused with the Emperor's mercy. Two very different things.
Two very painful things.
Yeah. They were given forgiveness, provided they go on a 100-year penitent crusade, which they lose their homeworld, though the Lamenters didn't have one, and they are not allowed to take new recruits to replenish their losses.
So they're just basically being condemned to extinction.
Yep. So,
fuck, man.
Well, if they survive, but presumably they got put back up to 1,000 before they were sent out, because otherwise they're being sent out with only 300, and then they're not living. Especially, we know what happens when they next get contacted. So, this crusade that they went on led them straight into conflict with High Fleet Kraken, slogging through the fight after taking heavy losses. Last time they were contacted, they only had around 300 Marines left, and then they disappeared, presumed destroyed. The Blood Angels have attempted to contact them and have failed to find them every time, but you can't keep the Lamenters down.
Yeah!
And after High Fleet Kraken was defeated, the Lamenters re-emerged. And that's been about it. The Blood Angels asked for their help during the devastation of Baal, but the Lamenters declined, citing the fact that they were so few of them left. They weren't a size to deal with, nor were they in the right mind to deal with it, which mood, and the fact that it still hadn't been 100 years, they couldn't replenish. So fighting probably meant death. And that brings their lore up to modern day.
Oh, bastards, man.
Yeah. So one final bit of housekeeping. Their motto is, "For those we cherish, we die in glory." I don't think that's true. I looked around and I could find it constantly repeated, but no actual source. So I posted in the 40k lore subreddit asking if anyone had an actual source because I fucking couldn't find anything. And the reply I got was the same conclusion I had come to. There is none. It's just fan canon that has leaked its way into belief that it's actual lore. So if you're wondering why I never brought up their motto, that's why. It doesn't seem to be real.
I don't know why I was expecting you to say, and they've replied with my address.
So, that was a bleak episode.
It was, and now I'm fucking sad.
So, here's a fun little story. My dad told me a story of when he was a kid. He went to school within Sydney, and their school was probably an old boys' school, you know, Catholic family and all that.
Yeah.
And was backed up onto a rural lot with a creek running through it. And at lunchtime, they would go to the creek and play army and go either side of the creek and just fight over the creek. And there was one kid who, whenever someone threw a rock, which of course was a grenade, everyone would scatter, but without fail, every single time, this kid would jump on the grenade to save everyone without fail.
What a good kid.
He was the grenade kid. That kid,
he's not going to make it.
yeah, that kid was a lamenter.
I thought you were going to say, that kid's dead now.
Probably.
How old's your dad?
50-something.
Super dead.
Yeah.
Apologies to any 50-somethings.
Occasionally, I get notifications when we get shares, not notifications, but it tells me when people share it. For those who do share it, thank you. I do say, share to your friends, but I also understand, you're watching a random podcast, you might not just be like, hey, check this out, and sending it to your friends. That's not...
Yeah, check out this one person who has a good mic, and the other one who's using a shitty Logitech webcam.
Yeah. As much as I say, share to your friends, I don't expect anyone to share to your friends, because I have watched so many videos that are like, share to your friends, and I was like, I'm not fucking sending this to my friend. Why would I say... I really like this video. I'm not going to send it to anyone. Why would I?
Yeah, just share it to a friend if you think they'll like it.
Yeah. But, you know, to those who do share it to friends and then the friends watch it, thank you. To both of you, the people who share it and the people who watch it. That's awesome.
And the rat that intercepts the message to let us know.
Yeah, fair enough. Anyway, thank you all for your support. It's great. Please do the like, share, and subscribe things. Do the bell thing if you want.
Yeah, ring that shit.
Yeah. I don't know what the next episode will be. I am writing an episode. Corgi is writing an episode. Whichever one's finished, that'll come out. Well, mine will be finished before next episode, but whether Corgi is finished or will be finished next episode, I'm using Corgi episode to get some time in advance and not feel so crunched. And then also the time to work on the stuff that I mentioned in Sausage Talk. Check out Sausage Talk at the end of the video if you want to learn more about that. Anyway.
Goodbye. Everyone.
Bye-bye. Dara Brent is a fantastic comedian. If you're not aware of him and you like games, go watch Dara Brent's bit of video games, as video games are the only art form that punishes you for not understanding its themes good enough. He hit them with the I'm sanguineous. Anyway, end of video content. That story got me thinking. I don't think I have ever played Army before, and I was wondering about why. And like, I think at the end of the day, it comes down to a multitude of factors. But one, how Australia views our military and our military history. Like that was when shortly after Vietnam, around Vietnam, and Vietnam was like the first proper like televised military engagement, and it was not popular in Australia. It wasn't popular in the United States, but it was especially not popular in Australia. But like then from that, Australia didn't really have many military engagements, and you know, they were televised, and they none of them were popular. East Timor was to a degree popular, because it was a peacekeeping mission rather than we were sent in by the United Nations. Though I can't comment too much on East Timor because I haven't done research into it. I just know a little bit of stuff about it, that Australia kind of involvement was kind of wild just on the things that we managed to get the UN to agree to let us do. Like we were allowed to shoot first, which is you're never given the right to shoot first on peacekeeping missions.
And you never want to be. Hey, remember the country that took the first shot? Yeah. Bastards.
Well, it makes sense. It means if you've got someone coming at you with a gun and you know they're going to shoot you, you are forbidden to shoot until they're shooting. So Australia was able to negotiate, no, if we see someone coming at us, we can shoot first. Which the UN never gives that right, and we got given it.
Are we special?
Yeah, by all accounts, our peacekeeping mission in East Timor actually worked, which, like, yeah. but like, I grew up, and at a time we were in Afghanistan, which wasn't a popular war. And then it's also the fact that Australian, especially like the variations of how Australian military is treated compared to the United States military, where it's all, you know, you've got your hero worship of like, oh, they're the military, fucking yeah, they're the military, they're awesome, you know, thank your soldier for your service. If you're a military member, you get discounts at all these places, all this sort of shit. There's so much like, you know, thank you for your service. And in Australia, it's like, yeah, they have a job, they did their job, yeah. Like, yeah. Like, which is the reality for most countries in the world. If you're in the military, it's a job, and if you say to someone that you were in the military, they'll be like, "Oh, how's that?" And then you go, it's all right. Like that'd be the conversation rather than, "I was in the military. Oh, thank you for your service. Thank you. It was so great." Like we just have a fundamentally different culture towards ex-service members. Coupled with the fact that as a child, we get taught Australian history in school, and this is one that you can attest to, Corgi. We get taught about the Anzac and Gallipoli.
Yeah.
Which is, hey, a bunch of kids got fed into a meat grinder and died violent, horrific deaths. Like, our primary introduction to the military as children is one of like the biggest military losses that we have suffered that led to the deaths of so many children at the end of the day. These were 16, 17-year-old kids. Fuck, if you ever want to listen to a song about it, there's a really fucking bleak song called the band, I think it's the band play Waltzing Matilda. I went to search it up on their own. It's a, not an, it is an Australian song, but the Pogues did a cover of it.
The Pogues? The Pogues?
Yeah, the Pogues. They're a Irish sort of folk punk band. Yeah, so
Oh,
and the
that's probably
band played Waltzing Matilda. It's the final song on Rum Sodomy and the Lashes, which is a fantastic album. Highly recommend. But yeah, that is what we're taught about as kids. So I feel like I think that's just why we never played army.
Yeah, it's a bit messed up to do that.
Yeah, it is. Like looking at it, it is a bit messed up. I will probably someday explain my history with the military because I have a history with them.
They murdered my parents.
And even like a family history of them. It's something that I'm working on in the background, and by working on it's more like in the initial stages. Is talking about my family history with the military. But yeah, that was just me talking about Australian culture and stuff that I thought might be interesting to people who are interested in end of video content. And this sometimes I just tailor things that are specifically for end of video content.
And sometimes
it's just stuff that gets cut.
Like me, I'm about to get cut. See?
Also, here's an end of video content question, Corgi. Corgi? Corgi.
First you insult my parentage and now you insult my name. I don't even know you anymore.
I had this conversation with my wife after Graveyard Bingo. Is a dragon a lizard or a bird?
It's a lizard.
But
it's
dinosaurs,
also a bird.
birds, dragons, wings. I said it was a bird. Mostly because it was more funny, but I'm in camp bird.
Technically it's both. Because they're both lay eggs, they're both mammals. They're both bastards.
Are dragons mammals?
Yeah, I think. I don't know. I don't exactly go around looking for dragons and asking if I can suck on some titty.
Yeah.
Well, there was that one time.
Dragons.
Dragon titties.
Birds. Also, sausage talk. I have a little sausage talk prepared thing.
The fuck is this?
Remember, this is we talk about making the show.
Oh, right. How sausage is made. I thought you were like about to start talking about your dick, and I'm like, I don't need to know.
If you like end of video content of us talking about just like us as people, this isn't that. If you haven't watched the singular episode we did sausage talk on, this is only for people who are interested on like the behind the scenes of me trying to make the show and the creative thought process of the stuff that I do and I work on. But yeah, if that doesn't interest you, you can click off the video now. Sausage talk. One thing I've been thinking about, and I don't know the exact term, so I've been borrowing a political term, which is soft power and hard power, and soft advertising versus hard advertising, and how to advertise this show and get it to more people. Because there's the hard advertising, which is posting the show or being like, this is the show, or people sharing the show. It's a link directly to the show and getting people in it. Whereas soft advertising is getting a degree of brand recognition that is outside. So I've sort of been engaging in it to a tiny degree of posting some of the pictures from the post, right? Mm-hmm. That from the videos that are on respective channels that are just like, hey, here's some fan art, and it's posted from, or like, here's some fan art from the podcast, right? Or from my podcast. And it's posted from the Good Morning Ratman Reddit account that I've made. And in that, it has the description linking back to the show. So it's ways of getting the show out there without being like, this is the show, go watch our episode. We did an episode on this thing, here's the link to the episode. And then just thinking about other ways to do soft advertisement. And like I suggested to Corgi and then she never responded, was...
I got distracted.
Yeah, like doing memes and like redrawing memes and meme formats in Warhammer forms, right? Mm-hmm. And just like posting that once again from the Reddit account. So like, maybe someone will see it and then they'll but it doesn't necessarily advertise to the channel, but it puts the channel further out it gets it implemented in the community. And maybe, the first generation of, if the meme like becomes a format, the first generation or whatever, it can be tied back to the show. Whereas like further iterations aren't, but it still cements the show as being part of the community and us being part of the community. Well, Corgi being part of the community, I've been part of the community for years.
I've been here the whole time.
Yeah, it also has meant I've, to a degree, stopped interacting with the community on my personal account, and every now and then I see a post, or like, and it's like, oh, I could respond to that with like my personal Reddit account, which I would normally do, or I could respond to it in the Good Morning Ratman account. And it does, I'm not being like, oh, and I have a podcast, you should check it out. Though I did once because someone was like, does anyone recommend any Warhammer podcasts? And I'm like, look, I'm never going to get a better chance to advertise.
Yeah, the one time it's ethnically okay.
Yeah.
I almost said ethnically. It's about to be midnight when we're recording this.
No, it's about to be midnight for you because you live in fucking daylight savings shitsville.
Yeah, daylight savings does make me feel like... Was it Abed? I think it's Abed.
But, yeah, so...
Help.
One of the other things I'm thinking about doing is retooling my personal Instagram account because I got it, and it's just like, I barely ever use it, but occasionally I just post Warhammer shit. Or, like... And it's just like, what if I just make it a Good Morning Ratman account? And, like, I'll change my personal... rather than make a new one because I already follow a whole heap of Warhammer content creators on there. And just like, posting, not advertisements for the channel, but models I paint, which is, what I do occasionally, though as stories instead of that, or like, the process of it. And it's just, building something of an audience that is not necessarily related to the podcast, but also you can see, oh, and this is also a podcast. Like, these people also have a podcast. And just sort of like, those are sort of stuff that I'm looking at. I'm also writing, I don't know if anyone who watches this show has been around since before the show existed and when I used to do shorts. But I used to make a lot of shorts, one a week, and then I fully intended to make this show and make the shorts at the same time.
And then you didn't.
This show has been such a time sink that I haven't had the time. I've had a few ideas since I've been writing the show. I've got, like, if I wrote one a week and never wrote another sketch, I have maybe a year and a half worth of sketch ideas that I could, release. I have so many ideas written down. Some full scripts that have never been filmed. Some that are full scripts that have been filmed that I never edited. And like I have like 5 videos pretty much ready to go that I never released. But
you can record. You can release them on your honeymoon.
Yeah, I could. But I am, and that's actually another thing I'll talk about. But I've been writing a bunch of sketches because Corgi's working on doing some videos, which gives me a bit more free time to not have to constantly research, and it gives me, time to edit and release these videos. And I got an idea and something of a script for like at least 6 videos. I got a full script for 1, but I'm also writing 2 versions of it, which is a version cut for a short and a longer one that will be a full video. That is a dramatic video. I will see how it goes because it's written to be dramatic rather than comedic, but it is a dramatic setup to what essentially is a series of punchlines. It's just, I need that. It's a series of videos, and it needs the context behind it to explain the further things, but all the other videos are going to be jokes. So when that video comes out, if you see it and go, oh, that was really cool, I want more of this story. There's not more story, but those are ways of, maybe some people see that and they go, oh, this is cool. What else do they do? Oh shit, they do a podcast. And it's just sort of ways to get that. But as Corey mentioned, a honeymoon. I'm going on a honeymoon, my honeymoon later in the year. So we're sort of, what I could probably get maybe 2 videos done to be released while I'm away, and then probably a Corgi video,
Oh.
and I've got a fun little video that's not a podcast episode. It's just going to be me, that I will probably record and do while home, and then I will record another video while I'm away on my honeymoon. I have a really funny idea, and I need to, like, yeah, it'll pay off where I am when it comes out. So those are that's sausage talk. That's the ideas that we're cooking for ways to advertise the channel.
Yeah.